Welcome back to the Purple Pod, the fastest growing K-State podcast out there. I'm Stevie B,
I'm Kenny G.
and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about K-State's season opening win against UT Martin, 41-6. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Let's get right into this, man. K-State started the season 1-0 with that 41-6 win Saturday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, 15th consecutive sellout. I was there. Kenny, I wanted to get your thoughts first, though, overall on the game. Felt like K-State kind of started a little slow, but the defense was dominant.
Yeah, man. I want to get a shirt. I want to get a shirt that's made and it's going to say, "In Clanderman, we trust." Because my goodness, that defensive plan was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a uh, good start for them, but they continue to carry that on throughout the whole game, even with the second string, the third string coming in. They did not let up. They pedal to the metal the whole game. And if there's one takeaway for the whole game, it is that our defense is going to be pretty scary.
Absolutely.
Pretty darn scary.
Absolutely, man. And here's what I'm going to say my overall thoughts. If you would have told me before the game K-State was going to win by 5 touchdowns, I'd be pretty happy. Having said that, like my wife asked me when I got home, how fun was it? Must have not been that much fun if you guys won by a lot. And I was like, actually, I was a little frustrated and upset throughout portions of the game. But yeah, K-State won by 5 touchdowns. Didn't look very good for about 3 quarters, at least offensively. Defense, like you said, looked amazing, and we're going to break all of that down here in a little bit. But it's kind of like a ho-hum, win. It's a all wins count the same, right? And K-State won by 5 touchdowns and started 1-0. And we'll talk about each individual part of the game. But yeah, just kind of a ho-hum win for me. So let's get right into it, man. We're going to talk about the offense first. I feel like we have to start with the offense, right? We're going to talk about the offense,
Yep.
defense, special teams. We're going to give our players of the game. We're going to rate each position group. We may even look around the Big 12 as well because there were some surprising scores, a lot of surprising scores, and then we'll get out of here. And then we'll do our breakdown of K-State Tulane in the next podcast. So let's get right into this. We're going to pull this up. This is the stats breakdown according to ESPN. K-State wins 41-6. We're going to talk about the offense first. Avery Johnson was 14 of 21 for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. A pretty low QBR, 39.5. Rushing the ball, K-State ran it 31 times for almost 300 yards.
I want to bring that a little bit more to where you can see
there
it.
we go. Is that better? There we go.
That's way better.
All right. K-State ran the ball 31 times for 283 yards, 9.1 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. DJ Giddens led the way. 13 rushes, 124 yards with a long of 48 yards. Receiving, Jace Brown led all receivers of 5 receptions for 71 yards, including that 44-yarder that set up the touchdown run by Dylan Edwards. Speaking of Dylan Edwards, he had 2 receptions for 19 yards, 1 touchdown, and then rushing the ball, he had 5 rushes for 43 yards and 1 touchdown. I said it earlier, K-State's offense really struggled throughout portions of the game. In fact, K-State didn't score its second touchdown until less than a minute to go in the third quarter. At that point, K-State had only scored, I think it was 13 offensive points because they had that blocked punt for the touchdown. It was a pretty frustrating and honestly boring offensive game. And it feels like there might be some questions regarding the offensive coordinator in the passing game. Is it time to panic, or you just feel like this is just the first game jitters?
I'm not gonna panic just yet. I mean, you were there live. You got to see it live, and obviously, being at the Bill, you can read things a little bit differently than when you see it at home. And so, but what I saw at home, it didn't look as bad as it may come across. I mean, it wasn't bad in the end. But I think there was uh, a high, like, after listening to the interview of Kleiman, he said that this UT team, UT Martin team, is actually their defense is stacked full of 6 years. They got a lot of 6 years players there. They got a lot of heavy senior, like very very older class on their defense, and they went against Georgia last year, and it was 3-17 against Georgia. They're a good team. Like, I don't want to take anything away from them, but the expectation was like, we're gonna go out and we're gonna like pop off. And it didn't really go that way offensively. Now, defensively, that's a whole nother story. The crowd was going nuts. Purnell was going crazy, but the offense, it took a while to get them going, to get a rhythm going. And I want to say, as to our running backs, man, we've got some crazy depth there. I mean, Joe Jackson was a huge surprise for me. Dylan Edwards, I wanted to believe in the hype, and I'm so glad that he lived up to it. DJ Giddens, he's a workhorse, man. There were so many times I'm like, we just need 4 yards. We just need 6 yards. They give it to DJ, and he's so reliable every single time, man. It's unbelievable. He's just able to get those few yards that you need, and he's so consistent about it. And then Avery, like they make a lot of they talked a lot about how there was one design run play that and it worked out great, but the ones where he kind of was scrambling in the pocket and he got out, man, his wheels are unbelievable, man. So our backfield is just undeniably star-studded, and you saw glimpses of how this K-State offensive, like, it's especially for the running backs, the star power behind our running backs and Avery. I mean, it's really just, it's an amazing thing to watch. It's just getting them all on the same page, and then getting them firing all on the same page right from the get-go, that they need to do that in order to really not run into this issue of having to rely so much on the defense. Now, last year, we kind of had that same problem where our defense was constantly bailing out the offense. And, you got to have a good defense, and we'll get into that. But I just want our offense to really, not have to be relying on our defense all the time. And even more so, they even relied a little bit on the special teams a little bit, as you said. That block punt was pretty legit. And also, I read somewhere, I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but is K-State leading in non-offensive touchdowns or something like that? Did I read that somewhere?
K-State's had the most non-offensive touchdowns among any FBS, which is the regular Division I teams, in the last 25 years by like a landslide. Last year, K-State had a couple, but none of them were punt returns or kick returns or punt blocks or anything. This year, they got it started off right. They got that punt block in the very first game. But, yeah, they have significantly way more non-offensive touchdowns than any other school in the last 25 years. So, yes,
right. Well, so as for, you were talking about the passing game, I went over to the running game a little bit. It's amazing. Our running game is it's basically just classic K-State football. I mean, when you think of K-State football, you think Bill Snyder, you think the Power Cat offense, and you think run. You're going to run the ball. That's what K-State is really known for. They're known for running the ball. And man, we've got such stars behind that, and our running backs, the depth of our running backs it's huge. So we'll say that. And I'm going to go ahead and say our passing does need a little bit of work. Our the jet stream, what do they call that?
The jet sweep.
The jet sweep was okay.
The jet sweep worked tremendous. What do you mean it was okay? It was like the only thing that was like really working. Like,
well, are you talking about? I'm talking about the one, the jet sweep to.
They had a bunch of them. They had it to Dylan, and they had it to Jaden Jackson.
That's the one I was thinking of, the one of Jaden Jackson. I was like, well, that one was like okay. But yeah, the Dylan where DJ came out and was like a lead blocker for him, that was a huge play. Yeah, that was huge. I didn't realize it was a jet sweep. I must have missed that. But going over the passing, it's just like, I feel like you want the interception back. That's rough.
It was a bad pass. It just was. It was a zone, and he threw it out like to him instead of over him.
He should have lobbed. Yeah, he should have lobbed it.
He thought,
if he would have lobbed it, that would have been a touchdown. But that's just going to be something that Avery's just going to have to like work on, I guess. Coaches are going to have to work with him on that. I have faith. I'm not going to panic about this stuff. I mean, I think we have a great coaching staff. I think we have a great team. We've got some amazing star power with our offense. I'm not even worried about it. So I want to. I feel like a lot of people are just over, like they're freaking out a little bit too much, and I just want to like take a deep breath. We won by 35 points. Like it's we're fine. We're good. Like it's the first game of the season. Yeah, we were projected to be 37-point favorites, and we won by 35. I mean, it was almost as expected against this team. So super long-winded. Sorry, Steve. I didn't want to take up all that time.
All good. I got a lot to say as well.
Go ahead. The floor is yours now.
Orphan said, Riley even said that they were going to try to be vanilla on offense in an interview a couple days before. So still not completely happy with the performance either, though. Yeah, that's how I feel. Everyone was talking about how vanilla the offense was. I agree. It felt like they were trying to keep Avery in a pocket and not get him hurt against a bad team. I mean, it's not a bad team, but you know what I mean, an FCS team. And I get that. But part of what makes him special and part of what like makes our offense dynamic and hard to defend is that our quarterback can run it or throw it. There were several times that he was back there and he could have ran it. Like they started going zone a lot against us, and it felt like he had a difficult time finding the guys in the zone. But when you drop in the zone, I mean, that leaves a bunch of areas open to run. And he did it twice, and he took off and got like 17 yards, 15 yards or whatever. Only one design run. He only ran the ball 3 times for 37 yards. 3 times is not enough, but I guess it was enough in this game. I will say the passing game, it was bad. There's no other way around it. Like they were 112th last year against the pass among FCS teams, and it felt like K-State should have passed for 300 yards easily against them. Like that was not good. Jace Brown led all the receivers of 5 catches for 71 yards with the long of 44. He did not catch that. Like you go back and watch the replay. There's a reason why they hurried up. He dropped that ball. Like that was not a catch. He had the fumble on the kickoff return. That was his worst game as a Wildcat, and K-State still won by 35 points. Like K-State played their C game, maybe even their D game on offense, and still won by 35 points. So I think that's like the glass half full mentality, is that, you know, K-State did not play well and still won by a lot. Like there were a lot of other teams like Oregon who struggled with, you know, Idaho. Texas Tech should have lost to, what was it, Tarleton State or something like that.
How about Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt going into overtime against Virginia Tech. You know, there was a lot of other like games that were a lot closer than this. But that doesn't excuse how, poorly the offense went. And I felt like a lot of people were seeing a lot of the same negative stuff that they saw in the bowl game happen in this game, where there just wasn't a lot of fluidity happening. But like a lot of drives, like the offensive play callers didn't know what to call in certain situations, and hopefully that gets resolved over the season, because as they call more plays and with the same unit and the same guys working together, they're going to start getting better and better. I will say, I do miss Colin Klein. He was fantastic. He's the only player in K-State history, I think, to win a Big 12 championship as a player and then as a coach as well. He did not have the best start to his season at Texas A&M. They only had 13 points on offense and I think less than 250 yards total. Notre Dame is good. But
did you see the head coach run
the effing ball? Yeah, I saw.
Run the effing ball. Well, okay.
K-State should have ran the ball more too. Like K-State had almost 300 yards rushing. Like
not to derail going to Colin Klein. It sucks for him, but
450 total yards.
We talked about Avery's passing, dude. I mean, 14 of 21. That's not terrible.
It's not good though. I mean,
it's not great. I'll say it's not great,
but it's not terrible.
It's not terrible. I mean, yeah, the one interception's probably like the one where coaches are going to be like, we need to not have this happen. But I think he did decent. Yeah, it's not like blow your mind performance or anything like that, but
he still had 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah. So like 2 touchdown passes.
Great design plays as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It just wasn't. It wasn't very fluid. You know what I mean? Like it felt like they didn't know what to do in certain situations. I felt like they should have ran the ball more. A lot of their success was on the outside. They need to do a lot more of him running the ball. And I know they didn't want him to get hurt. I get that. But our offense is going to be so much better when you really just let him loose and let him run the ball. I will say after that interception, it felt like he was scared to make a mistake. Like he would sit back there and just dump it off to the running back who would get 1 or 2 yards. You know what I mean? Like he was scared to throw it into, a zone and get it picked off. And that's fine in the first game. Like you said, even Georgia, who's been a national title contender and winning it, struggled with them at least in the first half last year as well. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot.
This team comes out to play. This team comes out to play. They're very well coached. Yeah. And I just want to give a quick shout out to an area that you actually, you were not as concerned as I was, and I want to eat my words. That O-line is actually pretty good.
I mean, 0 sacks, almost 300 yards rushing. They did a pretty good job, And
dude, they were giving Avery. There were times where they were giving Avery like so much time, like he had like all day to throw, and I'm like, wow, this, and you don't almost get 300 rushing yards if you don't have a good line.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
So, and these guys are coming after this, after Cooper Beebe and all the rest. They're also going against, like what we were just talking about, a defense that has a bunch of 6-year students, 5-year seniors. Like,
I guess
so they held their own, and they did a really good job, just putting it to them. And shout out to the Beef.
Offense is going to get better though, man. They do.
Yeah.
And
I'm
going to give my thoughts on the receivers later when we grade each position. That was a terrible performance by the receivers. My mom asked me going to the game, who am I looking forward to seeing? I'm like, well, of course I want to see Dylan Edwards, see what he can do. But I'm really interested in seeing what the receivers can do, because it feels like ever since Tyler Lockett left, the receiving core has really been not very good. Like it feels like we don't have a ton of speed. It feels like they really can't get open. They drop passes. And we saw all of that on full display yesterday. It was not a good position group at all. And obviously, I didn't feel like Avery played very good either. But it's game one. It's going to get better. Yeah. Offense is going to get better. I have no doubt. I mean, there's a reason why Avery's been hyped so much. I mean, I put money on him to win the Heisman. You know what I mean? I feel like he can do some good things. And
he's got the talent.
It's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, it's only going to get better. I totally believe that, and we're harping on it so much because we have just
Sky
the
high
expect
expectations.
yeah, the expectations are so high because we know what he's capable of, and we know what this offense is capable of, and we're not going to be able to make any noise in a college football playoff if we get there if we're playing like that.
I
So
mean, the way we play, the way K State played yesterday, is not good enough to beat Tulane or Arizona, and we'll talk about Arizona
yeah,
later. But yeah, they did not play well enough at
yeah,
all on offense. We'll see if things get better. Hopefully they do. Hopefully
yeah,
they do. That's all I want to say about the offense right now. Yeah, exactly. Where's the wide receiver separation? Exactly. I felt like from what I saw, they were running a lot of zone. Sometimes they were running zone on one side, man on the other, and Avery did drop a ball right in there right at the goal line, and he leapt for it and he caught it, which he really didn't catch it, but he did, I guess, according to the stats. But receivers got to get better. They have got to get a lot better. Trey Spivey, I feel like needs to play a lot more. Like he looked good, he really did. Dante
yeah.
Cephas, I don't know what's going on there, dude. Like I don't know. Like he didn't look like he was in the game. He dropped a pass. He didn't. I don't know, man. I don't know. We heard all offseason how great the receivers were.
Yeah.
They did not look good yesterday.
Need some more looks at Keegan Johnson still.
Yeah, Keegan Johnson barely touched the ball, dude.
Yeah, it's sad because we had hyped him up last year and
Yep.
really wasn't he was like nowhere to be seen, and our entire receiving core last year was our tight end.
And honestly, I felt like the tight ends played pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out
It's
to
like-
whoever bet Braden Lofton to score the first touchdown of the
Hey, seriously, I did not have that on my bingo card.
No, not at all. I felt like the tight ends played okay, and that's even without Oakley. He didn't play yesterday. So
Yeah.
should we move on to the defense?
Oh man. So what are you gonna give them? Like a C plus, a B minus?
We're talking about the offense. What would I grade the offense?
What would you grade the offense overall?
C minus.
Okay, C minus. I'll be a little bit more generous. I'll say C plus, but it's because I'm gonna be giving the running back position like an A minus.
I give the running back position an A minus as well.
They were just incredible. I mean,
DJ's averaging 10 yards a carry. I mean, that's insane.
He's a beast, dude. He is so freaking good. And the fact that like he's not going to have the stats that like Ollie Gordon and Brooks is going to have because he's got to like alternate between Dylan Edwards and Avery running, and like but the thing is, if it was just on him, if he was just like the only running back, and we ran into this same issue last year too, like with Trayshawn Ward, like they were alternating the running back position back and forth. But when he gets the ball all game, like he did with the UCF game, he puts up crazy numbers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just blows my mind. It's like people don't realize teams are gonna sleep on this, or fans are gonna sleep on this guy because they're gonna see Ollie Gordon, they're gonna see the homeboy from KU. I'm not even gonna say his name, and they're gonna just like think, oh, like these guys are so good. Look at the numbers they're putting up. It's like they have no idea. DJ is like,
DJ's
I would say either just as good or if not better than these other guys. And the only reason why he doesn't have the numbers to show is because he's got to alternate with Dylan.
Yeah. K-State's got a good problem at running back. They really do.
A great problem. Okay, it's just gonna be a great thing to witness the entire season. This running back position with Avery Johnson. I mean, dude, Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, DJ Giddens. That right there is scary for all the other teams in the Big 12.
It's almost like
country.
It's almost like, why would you even pass? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And the thing is both DJ and Dylan have great hands. They can also catch.
Yes.
So it's why do you even need, like, the receivers just need, like, you should put, you know what you should do? You should put Siegel as a receiver and just have him block, because Siegel's the ongoing joke is that he can't catch a ball. Well, you don't need to catch the ball if you've got these running backs that can catch really well. Just get the wide receivers to block.
Yep,
that's what you need.
Yeah, the running backs are insane, and DJ Giddens. I mean, he's going to be playing NFL for a bunch of years. I feel like. I mean, he's big, strong, breaks tackles. He's deceptively fast. I mean, he had a 48-yarder, and he acted like it wasn't even a big deal. You know what I mean? And Dylan Edwards is so quick, dude. He's so quick.
He's just a workhorse.
I'm excited about him.
And Dylan Edwards is like, he's a superstar. I mean, he is just everything you hope for when bringing him in. And yeah, so I got to give the running backs A-, and then
So are we just going to give each position group on offense our take now? We can do that. All right, I'm gonna give
do it really quickly.
I'm gonna give the running backs an A. And you said A-.
A-, yeah.
Quarterback.
Oof. Well, for Avery, I'll give him a B.
B-.
Okay.
And that's generous. Very generous. But part of it was the receivers being. We can go to receivers next, man. I'll be honest. I'm giving receivers a D.
Given
I'm giving them a D grade.
Yeah. I would say, yeah. I would agree with that.
They weren't getting open. They were. I don't know how many passes they dropped. It wasn't good. They did not look like they were ready to play.
It's rough because Dylan Edwards is in there and DJ's in there as well. But I would say like receivers,
though.
The
receiving group,
specifically,
I give them a D. They were the least impressive unit of any unit on K-State yesterday, period, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Offensive line, we don't have it up there, but I'm going to give the offensive line a B.
I'll give them a B.
When you have almost 300 yards rushing, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? But it can be better. It can be better. And,
also,
they're going to get better.
Also, here's another quick stat. No penalties for K-State.
0 penalties. 0
on both ends of the ball. So that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
It was a clean game. So offensive line has to give a little bit. I say B+. A-, B+. That, I mean, you got to give it.
I'll go to a B+, but I'm not.
0 penalty, no holding calls. Yeah. No holding calls, almost 300 yards rushing, and then there were times where they gave Avery
they missed a couple blocks here and there. They did.
Yeah.
They did miss a couple blocks here.
Sure.
I'll give them a B+ though.
All right.
We talked a lot about the offense, and rightfully so. It was a disappointing unit yesterday. Let's be honest.
It needed to be talked about
because that unit, the way they played yesterday, is not good enough to beat any team left in this schedule except for maybe Houston, which that's embarrassing if you're Houston. Let's move on to the defense. Very, very impressive unit. They were swarming to the ball. Desmond Purnell led all tacklers of 7 tackles, 6 solo, 1.5 tackles for a loss. Toby Osunsami had a sack and a half. I guess they gave him a sack and a half instead of 2. Probably the best sack celebration I've ever seen.
Did you see the interview of where that came from?
Yeah, it was from some guy he saw in New Orleans or something back in the in 2022.
Yeah, he was walking along that strip there, and it was those guys that paint themselves up and they just kind of stay still on the sidewalk. They just kind of they don't move, and so he decided to use that.
I mean, you can't get a flag for that if you're not moving. You know what I mean? So.
It's so funny, dude. It was a great sack celebration. He did it twice.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I don't know what you could say about this other than just
4 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss. They had. Let's look over here. They had less than 1 yard average per rush. Look at that, 0.9. 0.9 average per rush. That's insane, dude. 38 rushes for 36 yards. When you can make a team one-dimensional, you're going to win a football game, and that's what K-State did yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, that is just it's beyond impressive. We both witnessed how good Des Purnell was last year, and
He's
for
only
him to
gotten better.
come in, and I didn't even know this, but apparently he got injured last year at some point, and
Yeah.
I did not know that. And the coaches are just like fired up about this kid from Topeka, Kansas. Let it be
Yep.
known. And yeah, he is just a stud of a football player.
He's a good dude too. Like I listened to the interview on my way home because I interviewed him on the radio. He's just a great person. Like he just seems like a really like his parents did a great job with him. I'll just say that.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like K-State always ends up attracting really well-rounded people to their football crew, and it's great. That's what makes K-State such a good team to root for. You know, we've got just you know good sportsmanship and just good dudes that can really play very well, and so to have that, and then knowing that that is what's growing, it's growing in Kansas. Like this guy's from Topeka, and so it's just good to see that. My boy Jacob Parrish did a great job.
He was
I
all
mean,
over the receivers. He really was.
he was all over everywhere. Like I remember seeing him just like finishing tackles like left and right on the screen. I'm like, man, this guy is flying everywhere. And that's just what you like to see from the secondary, just guys that'll just come in and finish tackles way out from the in the zone that they're in. So good to see that. And man, yeah, you said it all right there. You said it really well. Making a team one dimensional.
That's how you win
Not
football games, man. That's how you win.
not allowing them to get first downs very often. I mean, there was a couple of plays where they should have. There was like one play that they should have gotten a
Sack on and
sack on them, and then
third and 19, man.
they turned it into a first down, which then turned it into a field goal, and you hate to see that. But I mean,
6 of 17 on third down. That means K-State stopped them 11 times. That's pretty good.
That's very good. That's
134 total yards. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do have some things that need cleaned up that I wanted to talk about. It felt like last year, like the biggest issues were with the safeties getting beat over the top from like Luther Burden and Texas and some of these other teams. Like it felt like K-State safeties, like they had a really tough time keeping people in front of them. And it happened again yesterday. Like they had at least 3 times they let guys get behind them. And thankfully, the other team dropped the pass a couple times. You know what I mean? And but one of them was at 3rd and 19 where the D line should have gotten the sack and they didn't. And they threw it up and the guy caught it and had a pretty nice gain. Safety's got to clean that up. I felt like the corners played just fine. The corners were just fine. Yeah. Safety's got to clean it up. They're pretty good in the run game, like very good in the run game. But with how much these teams in the Big 12 throw the ball, specifically like Arizona, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, all these other teams, like they're going to throw it. They're going to test us deep. And right now, I am worried about that. I will say I'm worried about that. Having said that, the D-line was incredible. They were the most impressive unit for K-State, period. Like there was no question mark there. Like they looked amazing. 4 sacks, 11 TFLs overall. Like K-State's D-line was insane.
Yeah.
And I was a little worried, just like a little bit about the DNs because we're breaking in a couple new ones. I was impressed. Very impressed. Linebackers were good. Corners were good. Safeties were okay. Safeties got to get better. They can't let people get behind them. That's
I think there was just that small mistake where they thought that they had the quarterback, and they just got their eye off the field a little bit because I mean it looked like it was going down, and he broke loose, and props to that receiver that
Tanksley.
He played till the whistle blew, and that's you can get some plays come after that. And so, but yeah, man, the D line is insane. The linebackers, I mean, complement them really well.
I thought Austin Romaine had a nice game.
Yeah, man. It's good to see the maturity of the linebackers that kind of showed for the first time last year. Like Austin Romaine, and I think there was Mott was his first year last year too, right? Or wait, is he?
Mott's been playing for a while. He's a D end.
Okay, he's a D end. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But as we were going through these stats, I don't know what I clicked, but I clicked something, and I saw the QBR.
What was his QBR yesterday?
Oh, it's you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
It doesn't show.
If you go to box score. Oh, there it is, right there. Right, no. Scroll over. It's over there. Scroll over.
I say Avery's, but I don't see theirs.
Oh, no, you don't see theirs. But I'm saying like Jacob, is it Knuth or Knuth?
Knuth.
Jacob Knuth. You got 100.
Yep, and it's 0.9.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But anyway, yeah, dude, nothing else to say.
I have another thing I wanted to say about the defense. They got to get better about taking the ball away. They had 50 plays on defense, 0 takeaways. So they got to figure out a way to get the ball.
Okay. Let me ask.
Let me some interceptions or some fumbles, man.
Let me ask you this, Steve. Okay, let me ask you this. Would you rather have a ton, like, let's say, like, we'll double it. We'll say 20 TFLs, or 1 or 2, like 1 fumble and 1 pick.
I would rather have the 2 turnovers.
Really?
I really would. Yes.
I'm doubling the tackles.
That changes the whole field position. Like, let's say they turn it over like midfield or on their own 25-yard line. Like, that flips the game tremendously. And for them to be, I think they were like 108th last year among FCS teams. They didn't give the ball away at all yesterday. 0 turnovers for them. And that's frustrating. You know what I mean? We didn't get it feels like whenever like a team is really bad at something and good at something else, whenever we play them, it's always flipped, right? Like last year, UT Martin could run the ball and they could stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. Well, yesterday they couldn't stop our run. They couldn't run the ball. We could not pass on them, right?
Well, you have to understand that they had a lot of time to prepare for this game, and
I get it.
I'm sure they. What it's weird because like, would they think that we weren't going to run the ball? Like, are you serious? How would you not prepare for that? But in terms of like their offense and our defense, maybe we overemphasized on certain things, I guess, and they cleaned it up. They probably cleaned up not turning the ball over. So props to them for that.
I'm sure they worked on that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the stat, I'm sure the coaches saw the stat.
Yeah, of course.
and so they're gonna want to clean that up, and rightfully so. They did.
They did have 2 fumbles, but they didn't lose either one. So
right, yeah.
Their quarterback was 7 of 14, 87 yards. That's a 50% completion percentage, basically 6 yards, per, like, what is it, per attempt, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Their running back had 9 carries for 19 yards. Another one had 9 carries for 18 yards. Like that includes a long of 11. So that's the other 8 went for 7 yards. That's insane. Yeah, K-State did a great job making them one-dimensional. I still worry about teams testing us deep. Having said that, it felt like Joe Klanderman, like he was not being vanilla. Like I saw zone blitzes, like where our DNs are dropping back and covering running backs.
Yeah.
I saw regular zone. I saw man. I saw a lot of things, and I know he's still holding back a bunch of other stuff. But Klanderman was in his bag yesterday. He really was. We just got to get some turnovers. That's
what we got to do is we got to get some merch that says "In Klanderman We Trust." I'm telling you, this is going to be a hit, dude. We got to get some T-shirts made, some ball caps. "In Klanderman We Trust." we got to get somebody on that. Okay, we got to get a merch team together.
You know,
We
he
gotta
sat in front of me one time at the K-State basketball game. I'm a big dude. And I felt small next to him, like a little bit small. Not as small as I felt next to Uso, but I felt small next to Klanderman.
Well,
Like,
that's
a
because
little bit small.
Uso is a Bradley 1 tank. Like
Uso is a tank. He really is,
he's
dude.
a tank. It's unbelievable. It's good to see him on the field.
I want to see a Uso sack dance, man. I
Oh,
do.
man.
But
You
defense
gotta-
played out of their mind. If they keep playing like that all season, K-State's going to win a lot of games.
Oh man, let's just. They didn't give a touchdown.
Zero
They held them.
touchdowns allowed.
Yep, no 0 touchdowns allowed.
Even with that short field after the fumble on the kickoff return.
It's just being consistent with last year. We were super good in the red zone.
Mhm.
And man, dude, I mean, you just see the stats. I mean, 0.9 average yards. That's
insane.
That's insane.
All right, let's rate each position group. D line for me gets an A.
Got to be an A. Got to be A plus probably.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I'm gonna give the linebackers a B plus.
I'll give them an A minus.
Love
I'm
it.
being super generous just by watching like Des Purnell freaking put on a clinic in that first half. Oh man, it was amazing to watch. He was just incredible.
I'm gonna give the corners a B. B plus.
It's just going down for me. B plus, A plus, A minus, B plus.
Safeties are gonna get a C.
I'll give the safeties a C plus. They weren't average. They were a little above average. They were a little above average. They made one mistake.
Yeah,
And it wasn't detrimental. But you know what's crazy? So we watched or you hit on Colin Klein's team, Texas A&M, and Colin brought somebody that you and I know a little bit over to that team that used to be on K-State's team.
Will Lee
used to be a corner, and rightfully so got pulled out of a game because of his lack of effort. And we don't need to go into it, but you just see what the performance he put out against Notre Dame, and he was
did he get burned?
He got burned. He got burned a few times.
Oh man,
Will Lee, it's tough. That's football. But I mean, what do you want to do now, Steve? I mean, we kind of went over.
Yeah, let's go over our cat and dog of the game, and then we'll talk about our special teams really quickly, and we'll look around the Big 12. So our cat of the game is our offensive player of the game. Players of the game, we have two. I mean, we had to go two, right? Like we had to go easily, DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards.
We had to go with the smash and dash. We had to go with
Thunder and Lightning.
The Thunder and Lightning, the Sonic and Knuckles, Giddens and Edwards. I mean, look at dude. This is baller. And you know what's cool? You know what's really cool? I just realized this. DJ's got 31. Edwards has 3.
Yep. So they both were wearing number 3 on their jersey.
So what is that? The 3-1-3 exit.
Oh!
Oh!
What do you think, dude? Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that.
Mind blown.
Mind blown.
For those who know, you know.
You know. So DJ Giddens.
Exit 3-1-3.
13 rushes, 124 yards with a long of 48. He also had 3 catches for 6 yards. So he touched the ball 16 times for 130 total yards. Dylan Edwards, 5 rushes, 43 yards, 1 touchdown, receiving 2 for 19 and 1 touchdown. So he had 2 touchdowns for K-State. Had to have both of those guys as the co-Cats offensive players of the game. Shout out to you for recognizing the 3-1-3 right there. That's what's up.
Yeah, dude. I honestly super pumped for Edwards specifically because his dad was a running back for K-State back in the 90s. And for him to come back here, for those who don't know, he's from Wichita, Kansas. Played with Avery ever since he was in like 4th grade or 3rd grade or something like that.
Until they got to middle school and high school and went to different schools.
So. Yeah, they've just
it's so, together.
Their dads are best friends. It's just so cool to see like a story like that. Kind of, I mean, it's the story that guys like you and I, and of course, like commentators love to talk about. It literally writes itself. It's just such a good story, and to see him come out, and he already had a ton of hype behind him already. And there was, he in the past, like he was supposed to come to K-State, but there were some changes that were made, and he decided to go to Colorado, and it didn't really work out there. And man, is it working out here? I mean,
yes, sir.
The chemistry that he has on the team, it looks like he should have been here the whole time. I mean, he came out, he was just electric.
And I think that's why so many fans were so upset with the offense. I mean, you have so many playmakers, and you had a hard time moving the ball. So it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the dog of the game, the defensive player of the game, the defensive players of the game.
We had to go again, two
of them, man. We had to. Desmond Purnell led all tacklers with 7. He had 6 solo. He had how many TFLs? 1.5 TFLs. Toby Osunsami had a sack and a half. The best sack dance celebration ever. Dogs of the game, man. The defensive players of the game.
Yeah, Logan. We is it Logan or Logan? Logan, yes. Yeah, we already kind of went over that in the offensive breakdown.
Yep.
We kind of agree with everything you just said there. We put a little bit more emphasis on the D being even more than just good. But yeah, back to the dog of the game, man. It was huge.
Both of them.
Des Purnell really set the tone right off the jump, and I think everybody around him just got fired up and really just put a smackdown on their team. I mean, we already went over the stats and everything, but these two players definitely get the highlight of the weekend for us, for the Purple Pod. I mean, and this time, I know we said this last year, but this time we really do need to tally up these cat and dogs of the game, and we got to reward.
All right,
these.
I'm gonna let you do that. I'll make the graphics. You tally them up. Sound good?
That sounds good. I'll tally them up. Shout
out to I'll put it up really quickly again. Shout out to Des Purnell putting up the old lynch mob hand signal there, which that's what the great K-State defenses of the 90s and early 2000s used to throw up after a big defensive play. So shout out to him for doing that. So
yeah,
we're gonna talk about special teams really quickly, and then we'll look around the Big 12 really quickly as well. Special teams outside of 2 plays were very good. I was very happy to see that Chris Tennant nailed every field goal attempt and extra point. The punting did not look good in pregame, but he was solid throughout the whole game. Simon McClannon, I think is his name.
I remember you texted me this, and then at some point in the game, he kicked a punt that was like right on the 2-yard line. I was like, so what was it about this punt game that was bad?
I know. And K-State blocked a punt and scored a touchdown off of it, another non-offensive touchdown. The only issues were the kick out of bounds and then the fumble on the kickoff return. Outside of that, K-State's special teams appear to be back. K-State special teams, baby.
Yeah, Tennant looked really good. Last year, he was it looked like he had some nerves and was a little shaky off the start, but sort of like revamped up and was actually solid the rest of the season. And it seems like he's just kind of continued with that confidence and the consistency of last year, ending of last year to this year. He was solid. Couldn't ask for a better start from him. And then overall, I mean, we go over this like before, coaches also hit on this on their interviews. Like special teams are designed for those players that they just want high energy.
They just want to be on the field and help the team.
High effort, players, and you see what happens when you got guys that just go all out and
Like
they
Ty
give you
Bowman.
with the 100% effort, it turns into a big play and allows us to talk about it and give him some praise.
K-State's got some pretty prolific returners that can take it to the house at any point. Obviously, Dylan Edwards,
Yep.
Sterling Lockett can do it.
Yeah.
I wonder how much Jace Brown is going to be back there after that fumble. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But they had that block punt again from Ty Bowman, picked up by Colby McAllister. Chris Tennant was 2 for 2 on field goals with a long of 45. That's pretty nice. And then 5 for 5 on extra points. Punter was had 3 punts, average 41 yards, 2 inside the 20 with a long of 46. I'm going to give K-State special teams, because of the fumble and a kick out of bounds, I'm going to give it an A-.
Yeah.
Even with the block punt, I would have given it an A+ without those 2 things, obviously.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think special teams should. The fumble is just. It's one of those things that I can't blame special teams for. It's more of just like a individual thing.
But it's part of the unit. So
it's part of the unit, sure. But I don't think that we would be blaming the offensive team for a fumble from an offensive player or whatever. It's like, I don't know how you would blame that on a team, but sometimes it just happens and we got to, I guess, grade off of that. I mean, if he's on the special teams, I'll say A-. I don't want to keep this dragging out, but I'm just saying I don't want to blame that on special teams. I think the block punt into a touchdown is such a huge highlight. I just don't want to. I don't want to taint that with a fumble. You know. So
A- is a good grade.
Yeah.
Let's take a look around the Big 12 really quick before we get out of here. So we're gonna look at the scores.
Before you hit the Big 12, I just want to. Another alarming game that was just so crazy was that Georgia Tech Florida game. I don't know if you saw that, but Georgia Tech whooped them. Well, they didn't whip them; they just beat them by 3. But they won.
Which game are you talking about?
FSU versus Georgia Tech.
Oh, week 0. So a week ago, Georgia Tech won in Ireland.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is wild because it was like 99% FSU fans there too, and so it was basically a road game, and Georgia Tech still beat them. And FSU, that's not good for them considering they wanted to leave the ACC. So
yeah.
Okay, so let's get things started here. Utah, I feel like, was the most impressive team in the Big 12 this past weekend, winning 49-0, up 35-0 at halftime. Their quarterback, Cam Rising, 254 yards, 5 touchdowns. They had a receiver get 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Defense giving up 0. They were the preseason favorite for the Big 12, and they looked like it in this game. So, that's all I want to see about that.
But if you heard Kleiman say, he's like, it's kind of funny. He's like, we didn't need a game where we went 63-0. He's like, we wanted a team that could challenge us and show us our weaknesses and show us things that we need to work on. So as much as that looks pretty impressive, it's like I don't know how good Southern Utah is.
Probably terrible.
Yeah.
As opposed to the team we played has won 3 consecutive conference championships.
And they brought basically their entire defensive team back.
Yes.
So.
Moving on, KU beat Lindenwood 48-3 in Kansas City. They also had a little bit of a sluggish start. They also had a non-offensive touchdown. Jalen Daniels looked very similar to Avery Johnson in the game. Like, he didn't look super impressive, but KU wins the game nonetheless, 48-3. Lindenwood just a couple years ago was Division II, and before that, NAIA. If K-State played Lindenwood, like, it would be that score or worse, in my opinion. So, good for them to start 1-0. That's all I want to say about that.
Yep.
UCF 57-3. New Hampshire, I think, is pretty bad. I think UCF is going to be just like they were last year. Pretty good on offense, pretty bad on defense. So we'll see. And
then chokes in the end of the game.
Probably. KJ Jefferson is their new quarterback. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Their running back RJ Harvey had almost 150 rushing yards. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's amongst the top running backs in the Big 12. So
Yes, he
gotta
is.
keep an eye on him.
Colorado versus North Dakota State. Shout out to the ref for starting the clock before the ball was actually put into play. Cost them some seconds. Colorado could have lost that game. They really could have. But their offense is very, very, very impressive. Their quarterback had almost 450 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. They have gotten better against the run, but they are not very good against the pass. Very undisciplined team still. Still good though that they beat North Dakota State, who was in the national championship game last year among FCS teams. They did not cover, which you and I both said would happen. You picked North Dakota State outright. I did not. I picked Colorado, but North Dakota State to cover because I think the spread was 10. So, yeah, I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but not the most impressive win for Colorado, but, they got the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, they're not an impressive team to me. I just like you talk about their offense. I'm like, who are they playing?
Their offense is very good, and their offense is better than ours this past weekend. That's for sure.
Sure, but I mean, we'll see how good their offense is against our defense. We'll actually get to see that. So
true. I mean, their receivers are insane. So, TCU, shout out to them for winning the game at Stanford, which is now an ACC team. Both of us had Stanford covering, and they did. They kicked a field goal with like a minute to play to try to get an onside and come down and score a touchdown to tie the game because they were down 10. So they covered the 9 or 9.5 points. So I think both of us picked Stanford to cover. So, but TCU started out 1-0. Quarterback 353 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what I'm talking about in this Big 12, man. Like our safeties, I'm a little bit worried about these teams getting past us deep because all these teams like to throw the ball a lot.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, we'll have to see how good. Well, are these actual like passing yards or these yards after catch? You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. But still, like you got to cover the guys. So I don't know.
And I have a lot of confidence in our corners. And
corners are good. I have some question marks on the safeties still, but they do have some nice depth. But they got to stop letting people get behind them. So
yeah.
We talked about our thoughts on K-State winning earlier. Yeah. So rewind and watch that. Both you and I picked Penn State to win pretty big here, so neither one of us are surprised at all. They're only favored by 8.5. Everyone was picking West Virginia. I was not buying a sauce. You weren't either. And
no, what are they talking about?
I don't know.
Why? What is everybody's like? They have this like weird fetish over this like West Virginia being good. Why? What in what
they won
way?
9 games last year or whatever. So
that doesn't make it 9. We won 9 games. No, I don't know. And I guarantee you, if we won 9 games and we went against Penn State, no one would be picking K-State. No one would.
No one.
But for some reason, they're picking West Virginia, which isn't even a ranked team. But if a ranked K-State team was it just doesn't make sense, dude. I don't get it.
I agree. Penn State whooped that butt, and they got a new offensive coordinator, and their offense looked good. They did. I will say that.
Yeah, they're scary. They're scary.
So Oklahoma State won 44-20. They were up 17-6 at halftime. South Dakota State is the defending FCS national champion, so we felt like the game would be pretty close. I think both of us picked this incorrectly. I think both of us thought that South Dakota State would cover. I think it was like 10 points or something like that. They did not. Obviously, they got beat down in the second half, specifically that third quarter. Oklahoma State appears to be a pretty good team. So we'll see.
I mean, Ollie Gordon didn't do as much as I thought he would. I mean,
27 carries, 104 yards. I mean, they did a good job of limiting what he can do.
It really did a good job of containing that threat. And I mean, going into the game, you have to think, okay, they're going to be playing him like heavily, because he was the leading running back rusher in the Big 12 last year.
He's the Heisman, that's who everyone's picking. Like he's the front runner for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
This was a very surprising score. Not from Arizona's standpoint. 61 points is pretty impressive. The receiver got 300 yards, which is the second most ever in the Big 12. Considering that the conference has gone back almost 30 years, that's pretty impressive. Their quarterback had 400 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, but their defense gave up 39 points in New Mexico. What?
Yeah.
What? They were only
Yeah.
up 3 points at halftime, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about Arizona. Our defense is going to do a pretty good job against them. I feel like I'm a little worried, obviously, like I said earlier, about them beating us deep. But it feels like the defense is going to keep us in it, specifically if their defense is bad. I got a lot of trust in Avery and Dylan and DJ to
Yeah,
win us
man.
that game. But this is a pretty insane score.
Yeah, I mean, almost. I mean, it's basically like 60-40. You know, like
That's crazy.
You're allowing New Mexico to have 40 points on you. That's pretty wild. That's gonna hurt.
100 combined points.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm really looking forward to next week's games and the Big 12 results from that. I think the first week is always going to be interesting across the board. You got people that are trying new things out and getting the first week jitters out and so it's always a little strange. Sometimes you find your rhythm right away and then you don't. Other teams don't find it right away, and we'll have to see. But if this is the way that Arizona's going to look when we play them,
I like the Cats. I like the Cats.
I like the Cats at home. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
absolutely. Especially on a Friday night, crowd's gonna be insane.
Yeah, that's like the only Friday game, right?
Yep, it is the only Friday game.
Yeah.
Cincinnati beating Towson 38-20. Their quarterback had almost 400 passing yards. That's pretty nice. I still think Cincinnati's a bottom 4 team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
They give up 20 to Towson. That's not the best.
This next game is really alarming.
So Iowa State beating North Dakota 21-3. That's a pretty ho-hum win. It was 14-3 at halftime. Either team scored in the third quarter, and then they put up 7 in the fourth. Iowa State always does this where they start the season pretty not great. I think they lost to, and who was it? Marshall last year or Ohio? No, it was Ohio. University of Ohio last year. But they won this game by 3 scores. So, I don't know.
It just seems like that's amongst Big 12. I mean, we'll get to Houston in a bit, but amongst Big 12 teams.
Unimpressive.
21 points against North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean,
they couldn't run the ball. I mean, the highest rusher had 50 yards for North Dakota. So that tells me their running back could not run the ball. So,
yikes.
Baylor beat Tarleton State 45-3. Baylor's got some athletes outside.
Is Baylor back?
I don't know.
See, that's
shout out to their receiver getting 69 yards. So
nice.
UNLV put a whooping on Houston, 27-7 at Houston.
Oh, that is such a bad look.
In the Big 12? Are you kidding me?
That's such a bad look.
That's terrible. They were favored by 3 going into the game. They got their butts beat by 20.
That's
Yikes.
such a bad look.
They're the worst team in the conference. They are.
That is such a bad, and we don't even play them, do we?
We do play them.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Well, that should be an easy dub. Easy dub. It's probably the second worst performance in the Big 12.
I had way
Texas Tech having to go to overtime against Abilene Christian. They won because Abilene Christian went for 2 and didn't get it. What?
That's insane.
52-51. What the hell, dude?
Yeah,
they scored more points combined than Arizona and New Mexico.
Yeah, this is man.
Bad
It's
luck.
scary.
Bad luck.
It's scary to see these Big 12 teams. I mean, 50 points scored on offense is impressive, but giving up 51 points is not.
Abilene Christian to Abilene freaking Christian. What? That's bad, dude. That's terrible. Joe McGuire.
Oh, man.
Todd Brooks is still killing it. 153 yards and 27 carries. He's a stellar running back. BYU 41-13 winner over Southern Illinois. Yeah, that's good. Oh, their quarterback had.
Did Did that
350
does that
passing.
say 500? I can't see that.
Yes. Abilene Christian's quarterback had 506 passing yards.
Oh my god.
Avery would have like 1,000.
That just seems like, I don't know. That seems like Madden numbers.
It is. See, that's a video game. They lined up. They decided to play a video game instead of an actual football game.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I said, BYU won 41-13. They were up 17-6 at halftime. So I guess like a lot of these teams, like even BYU and some of these other teams, they were not winning by very much at halftime. I mean, Arizona was up 3 at halftime. So maybe it's not that terrible. It's just first week. I was pretty shocked by this. I think both of us had Wyoming covering, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
Arizona State with a big time win, 48-7.
So in one hand, we're thinking, Houston will probably be good because Willie Fritz is coming in. We've got high hopes for them. Like the coaching staff is probably stacked. We're thinking, okay, maybe Houston might be able to turn around. But we were like, oh, I don't know. Arizona State projected to be the worst team in the Big 12.
I don't think they're going to be.
You see these score results. It's
the only touchdown they gave up was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, when they probably had
backups in
all their backups in. That's amazing. That's amazing.
What up to them, dude? We'll see what they can do this year.
Yeah, it's either Wyoming just had a really, really good year last year, and this year they lost everybody, or Arizona State might be a problem. Yeah. And the thing is that when I told you this before, I said this a couple times actually. Whenever I would get done watching a K-State game, Arizona State was always like
they're always on.
They're always on after
Big 12 after dark.
Yeah, because it was the time zone and when they play, it was just always late games.
Right.
And when I would sometimes I would just sit there and watch them play, and they were in a lot of their games. Like they would be in it. Like the physicality was there. It was just that they wouldn't clutch it out. They would always make mistakes that were like unforced mistakes, like it's like, oh, well,
they did lose a lot of close games.
Yeah. So. But now, I mean, we'll see with the NIL and the transfer portal and everything.
Knows,
like
it's a wild west out here, dude.
Yeah.
So that's a Purple Pod episode. I think it's episode 3 for season 2, right? Because we did the season preview and then the UT Martin preview, and now we're doing the post game recap. So we're already on episode 3. We are going to get to next episode, K-State at Tulane. We're going to break that down, stats and picks and all of that, and Big 12 picks for week 2.
That'll be on what day? Tuesday, right?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Those of you who are watching live and those who are watching this after, if you want to watch it live, it'll be Tuesday at, I believe, 5
or 6. No, wait, you have practice.
Yeah,
so it's got to be 6:30.
6:30, I believe.
6:30 is when we're going to do.
Tuesdays at 6:30 when we preview the K-State game that's coming up. When is our bye week? Do you know? I totally.
I can look. Give me a second. I can look. Give me just a moment.
All right. But yeah, we will be we'll be doing the preview of the games on Tuesdays, and then we'll do the post game review on the Sunday after.
October 5th.
October 5th is
October 5th and November 9th. There are 2 this year.
Oh, whoa, really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
It is.
Oh, and it's really weird that November 5th, that's great because that's my daughter's birthday, excuse me. But
perfect.
Yeah, it's a perfect day to have a
trip out to Worlds of Fun.
Maybe so. They actually close on the 31st. But Houston is November 2nd, and then we have Arizona State that next time. But then like you said October, what was it? Oh, the 5th.
October 5th.
Ooh, coming out of the bye week to go against Colorado.
Well, yep, and we already know that Kleiman is not. He has a pretty bad record after a bye week. So hopefully it changes this year.
Yeah, This would be the year to do it.
Yes, sir. I agree.
For sure. Cool, man. Yeah, like so everybody who's watching, please stay tuned. Come and see us on Tuesdays at 6:30 to do the pregame review.
And
then-
Sundays at some point. We don't have a specific time yet. Probably
Sundays at some point, because we also are
probably 4 or 5, somewhere in there, I think.
we are NFL fans as well, and we like to
We
watch
are.
the games on that, and that will determine when we get on, because we don't want to miss.
And one of us
our-
goes to church, so
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we can't be too early.
right.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that's our recap of K-State's 41-6 win against UT Martin. K-State starts 1-0. They're ranked 17th or 18th, depending on the poll. We'll be back on Tuesday to talk K-State at Tulane. And as always, baby, go Cats!
Go
Down in Blackpool.